Jimmy Kimmel got cancelled. Jimmy Kimmel, everybody knows him, big late night host. His ratings suck though. Well, we're looking at if his cancellation is in any way, shape, or form politically motivated. I don't know yet what he said. We're going to take a look at that. We're going to investigate with facts and logic. I know some of you don't like that too much. Where do we start? I want to first see what ChatGPT says. Just want to, like as a start. Jimmy Kimmel made a comment during his monologue about the killing of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. In particular, he said people in the MAGA movement were trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, doing everything they can to score political points. Okay, let's watch a video on that. As you can see, ChatGPT is kind of interesting here to start building a skeleton of this talk. I'm not going to ever subscribe to you guys hating on ChatGPT. As a basic superficial tool, if you don't go too deep, it works. Kimmel monologue Kirk.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
So 3 things instantly come to my mind. Number 1, he's kind of insinuating that the guy is MAGA, which is wrong. Wrong, but I would think, first of all, the great free speech, the amazing free speech we have in America. And it is very true what he's saying, that stuff like Fox News has massively pushed an agenda of, is he lefty? Is it the left? I want to once again remember the main Fox News segment on the evening of his death, where the black-haired guy says, this is a war, what are you going to do about it? Okay, so far, doesn't look like you should cancel someone like that as the great free speech country that you are. He didn't even say MAGA. It was kind of insinuated, but he didn't even say it. Yeah.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points.
Which is very right. If that's already it to get canceled, that's fucking crazy. In my opinion, not that super crazy. That was it. Oh, that's it. Damn, that's it?
We were just about to walk in. Interestingly enough, they waited to pull the plug on this right as...
Here's the full one. One sec. Always step by step.
Over the weekend.
The studio audience was about to walk in. It wasn't like this morning or last night. They waited for everyone to come into work today, you know.
That's from the full speech. I will check it.
They didn't tell us what had happened. They just said that the show was canceled. Initially,
talk. This is supposed to be more, okay?
And with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger...
Aren't Navich supposed to just be funny on propaganda? Again, he has free speech. He can do this in the show if he wants to. PK. Ey, Lisa, ich dachte, ich kann mal bis 18 Uhr streamen hier. Ich dachte, ich kann halt mal ein bisschen streamen hier. We have to bring back my streams go to 6 p.m. We have a little plan here, Lisa. We can't always fuck that over.
Pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one.
I mean, my personal opinion, this should be a fucking cancel in the great country of free speech. That's not enough at all.
One of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it. In between the finger pointing, there was grieving. On Friday, the White House flew the flags at half-staff, which got some criticism. But on a human...
The comments have to do with this. Literally, the President of the United States is posting on Truth Social, Jimmy Kimmel is next, 2 months ago. Next, we have to go for Kimmel, Seth, whatever his name is, Jimmy Fallon. He celebrated the downfall of Stephen Colbert as Trump was in a legal alteration with the home network of Stephen Colbert. Super wrong again. Super wrong again.
Level, you can see how hard the president is taking this.
My condolences on the loss of your friend Charlie Kirk. May I ask, sir, personally, how are you holding up over the last day and a half, sir?
I think very good. And by the way, right there, you see all the trucks? They've just started construction of the new ballroom for the White House.
Man, we should really cancel Jimmy here.
Which is something they've been trying to get, as you know, for about 150 years. And it's going to be a beauty.
Yes. He's at the 4th stage of grief, construction. Demolition.
He's building his palace.
This is not how an adult grieves the murder of someone he called a friend. This is how a 4-year-old mourns a goldfish.
Disney pulled him while Nexstar is about to do a merge. After these comments, he made multiple advertisers and sponsors said they didn't want to work with him anymore, leading to Disney to cancel. Even if you're fully right with that, you cannot deny that Trump is celebrating this, the downfall of another voice against him. Even advocated it 2 months ago. Jimmy Kimmel is next. Let's watch this deep dive. They probably did a pretty good deep dive here. There's going to be shitty jokes, but they probably do a good job. Taken off the air for hurting feelings.
We're going to dive straight in with our main story tonight concerning the fact that on Wednesday, this happened.
Overnight, ABC pulling late-night talk show host Jimmy Kimmel off the air. Hours after...
What's your opinion? I want to do a poll. I want to feel your opinion, chat. You guys are kind of TommyKay left-wingish influenced. Should be cancelled? Yes or no? I want to see what you guys think, but it's probably not a very representative poll. Here we go. There's a poll in chat.
A threat from the head of the Federal Communications Commission. Brendan Carr called for Kimmel's suspension over comments earlier this week on Jimmy Kimmel Live about conservative influencer Charlie Kirk's death. ABC pulling the plug. A spokesperson for the network saying Jimmy Kimmel Live will be preempted indefinitely.
One thing I want to check, I'm genuinely interested. Everyone says his ratings are shit. Jimmy Kimmel ratings. Just a little fact check. It's probably down. 1.9. How would I rating over the years? 3 days ago. Oh, Trump was there. Do you have like a thingy? What's it called? A graph? Oh my god. Fuck off! My free speech is to not watch ads. Oh my god! Holy shit, somebody should cancel this website. Now they're selling me copper. And actually, the most recent round of numbers of Kimmel were positive. He moved slightly ahead of the rival Late Show with Stephen Colbert. Among adults, 1849, the key demographic for these advertisers. They based their ad sales on how many viewers show pull in their group. Kimmel averaged 220,000 adults, 1849, during the second quarter. According to the data from Nielsen, that was 1,000 more than Colbert and marked Kimmel's strongest performance in a year. So already have some data here that showed that the rhetoric of he was just shitty ratings is not right. By comparison, The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon averaged 157,000. So he had even more than Jimmy Fallon. A rating rise of any kind is notable in 2025. Changes in viewing patterns with more people now watching streaming other than television have cratered ratings for virtually every show on television. Even the most popular franchise like NCIS and Law & Order have seen ratings drop from a decade ago. So it's no surprise that Kimmel's ratings have dropped. During second quarter, he averaged 1.77 million total views. That's down quite a bit from 2015, which seems to be, though, a normal trend among television, which I think everyone understands. When Colbert joined the late night, as Nielsen says, Kimmel averaged 2.4 million total views. But again, every show is down since then, and there are many different ways to spin those numbers, as headlines from all manner of political affiliate media have done since Kimmel's suspension. You can look at second quarter and say he was up, or look at the long game and say he's down. On YouTube, our Kimmel's channel has 120 million subscribers. These 3 recent videos have all more than 3 million views, etc., etc. So once again, TommyKay, fact check. This argument of his ratings were terrible, he should have been gone anyway, is just not true. A better argument would be what Ken Noodle is doing, that there's a deal in the background that had to go through. Once again, fake
President
news.
Trump weighing in.
Why do we care about ratings? As I stated about 60 seconds ago, you goldfish brain, we were trying to fact check the fact that some people on the internet are arguing his ratings were shit anyway, he should be gone anyway. Thank you, Mr. Goldfish. Let's rename you Goldfish. Let me put this here. Mod comment. Call him Goldfish. Boom, there you go, buddy. You know Mr. Goldfish.
For America.
Yeah, ABC pulls Jimmy Kimmel's show indefinitely, and the president
Could be cancelled. 80% no. Again, it's
for America.
TommyKay channel, though.
Weird response
you guys will
to
probably,
have,
in
not
my
to be fair,
opinion,
the weirdest response he had to anything this week, given that he described his dinner with the royals by saying he ate, and I quote, whatever the hell they served us. But still pretty fucking weird. And look, Kimmel is now one of many who face consequences for comments in the wake of Charlie Kirk's murder 11 days ago, with workers being fired or placed on leave over posts about him. And very quickly, I was honestly inclined to wait to engage with the back and forth over who Charlie Kirk was and what his legacy will be, at least in part because we're taping this on Saturday. His funeral hasn't even taken place yet. What I will say is, a person getting shot is tragic, and a person getting shot for their ideas is horrifying. That is true no matter what those ideas are. And I also recognise that for many, especially those who were the targets of some of Kirk's ideas, it has been hard to stay quiet as they see flags lowered to half-staff and hear claims that he debated things the right way. But setting all of that aside, it does seem like
Jimmy lost half his audience. Jimmy Kimmel lost nearly half his audience in 2025 ratings, freefall before Disney pulled him off the air. But we just read something very, very different. Jimmy Kimmel 2025 ratings. In all the conversation on Jimmy Kimmel being pulled off the air, there's one factor no one is talking about: his show ratings. The sudden move ABC lineup has dominated headlines. Pundits are framing the move as a political flashpoint, with some claim Disney caved. I mean, it's as the comments happen, so obviously there's a connection. The numbers don't lie. This wasn't a show at the top of its game that was silenced in its prime. It was a program in free fall, hemorrhaging viewers every month before ABC and Disney finally pulled the plug. The other thing said it differently. Can anyone find me a link with the legit ratings? Like a graph or something? There has to be something like that. Can anyone find me something like that? I would like to destroy canned noodle as we do about 50 times during the day. Like, pulling 177 mil in Q2 doesn't seem very bad. Beating Jimmy motherfucking Fallon and all other night shows, even The Daily Show. He's the second biggest show in America. Like, what? The numbers don't lie. He was free falling. Is he? Can anyone find me a link? 2025, like a graph or something? Because that one article said he even went up. Kimmel's downfall begins with the handling. Looking for rating stuff. Here. What is that? The story no one is talking about, though, is Jimmy Kimmel Live ratings, which are legitimately terrible. Okay? At the start of 2025, Jimmy Kimmel Live was averaging 2 million views. Now he's 177, which isn't half. And 212,000 in the key advertising demographic. Numbers already trailing Colbert and barely ahead of Fallon. Barely ahead of Fallon? I mean, I feel like this is good. Jimmy Kimmel is a US television program, blah, blah, blah. We're looking at February. 1 million? But everyone said it improved when the Colbert got cancelled. This feels not right. In August 25, the decline was undeniable. The show had catered 1.1 million total viewers. That's a 45% total audience and a nearly 40% collapse in only 7 months. Here, this is like legit ratings. Okay. They went down, yeah. But still, the point is in the talking point, this is still good numbers, man. It's not like nobody's watching this. Compared with what we read earlier about Monday Night Football is crushing everyone. That it's still very good ratings. Sounds like a bunch of sad little right-wing snowflakes. Expand the graph time span. You can't. This is all. Which is kind of weird that it's only here. Anyone has a link? This is a very bad news portal. Right-wing bias. Well, I also do left-wing bias. It's okay. I'm trying to once again show that Ken Doodle is wrong. So we have now two opinions here. Kimmel ratings explained. You would think they're a bit left-wing. Kimmel's rating. Oh my god. Allow ads. Kimmel's rating were bleeding viewers. Alter, can you stop annoying me? Nielsen data showed sharp summer declines and a year-long slide that leaves him trading late-night rivals such as Fox News, Greg Gutfeld, and Stephen Colbert. But here it says a bit differently. I still think this isn't bad. This isn't like you should narrate that he's fucking dying. If I make 1 million a month and then I only make 900,000 a month, yeah, I plummeted, but I'm still making a lot of money. According to Nielsen figures, Jimmy Kimmel Live dropped to just 1.1 million total viewers in August 2025, down from 40% since January. Once again, they say it's important that everyone is dropping. His August household rating of 0.35 marked the weakest showing of the year. The advertiser coveted. Demo also creator Jimmy Kimmel averaged only 129 viewers. By the way, one thing real quick. Nearly half. I don't think that's nearly half. When you go from, well, it is from 2 to 1 million. It is actually kind of half. It is kind of half. If you look at the beginning of the year, though. Blah, blah, blah. Industry reports put his salary at 15 million. Damn, Alter. Whoa, that guy is rich. He's gonna do fine, man. Damn.
Okay, let's go.
Oh, he can still go till May, or what? So Kimmel averaged 1.7 viewers last year, down 2.3% 2023. Down 2.3% in compared to 23. In the demo, he shed more than 12%, pulling 221,000 nightly viewers, which isn't half. Parker Sands, he was late show. Dino Gobert held the top broadcast. Yeah, when they said he has no ratings, he's literally the biggest show. He's now suing ABC. It seems to me, though, this rhetoric of he just has no ratings, him being gone is totally fine. The guy is still pulling 1 million. It's still very good in comparison. Ratings is just a ploy. I mean, in the end, it doesn't matter. The question is, should he be cancelled for his speech? But the compared to salary, not so good. I mean, the salary is great. What's this? The FCC says we're not done yet with Jimmy Kimmel? Uh-huh. Okay, fuck off. So yeah, long story short, we're getting a bit lost here. I feel like he plummeted, but not to fucking death and act like his ratings were terrible anyway. I don't fucking know, man. The guy is still pulling in one of the top 20 marks. Let's maybe not read the comments, man. Let's keep going.
Some are now willing to weaponize Kirk's death to do things they've been wanting to do for years, whether it's going after liberal groups,
I'm out of time almost. We have to finish this video
or their
now.
remaining critics in the media, and under some shamelessly flimsy pretext, all of which brings us back to Jimmy Kimmel. Because look, it is not news that the administration's been wanting to get rid of shows like his. In fact, it's such an open secret that last Sunday, when we won an Emmy for writing, one of our writers opened his thank you speech with a line that was followed by a camera cutaway that now feels pretty prescient.
Thank you so much. We share this category. We are honored to share it with all writers of late-night political comedy, while that is still a type of show that's allowed to exist.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that is pretty eerie. Now, obviously, our writer Daniel did not know the future. On some level, that is just a coincidence.
Life is a TV show,
young
man.
Shirley Temple accepted an Oscar in 1935 by saying, "Thank you very much for this." On January 28th, 1986, the Spaceship Challenger will suffer a catastrophic failure, killing 7 people. You know, kind of spooky stuff. But it's not just a coincidence, because everyone knew the administration had it in for Kimmel. Even Daniel knew that, and to be honest, he doesn't know
a fact.
a ton
Whether
of
you
stuff.
want to do an argument about ratings or whatever, the guy literally fucking
he was arguing
tweets
that
Kimmel
Alfred
is
Molina
next.
is more famous than Bad Bunny. He's a very good writer, but he's wrong about a lot of things. And for what it's worth,
They hate cancel culture so much, but now they actually engage in cancel culture.
he will never be speaking publicly on our behalf ever again, because we're now terrified he's going to drop another fucked up fortune cookie. But the pretext that's been used to indefinitely suspend Kimmel's show is just laughably weak, because while you may have seen
Whoa, I
headlines
have
saying
money
he
in
got
my
trouble for
phone?
remarks
What?
about Charlie Kirk himself,
I
or
hid
even
money in my
remarks about his
phone.
death,
Whoa, I didn't know.
That's not strictly accurate.
Cool.
The comments that got him in trouble
Damn.
weren't about Kirk. In fact, Kimmel's first comments after his murder were a post reading, "Can we just for one day agree that it is horrible and monstrous to shoot another human? On behalf of my family, we send love to the Kirks and to all the children, parents, and innocents."
What a fucking terrible guy. Jimmy Kimmel, man. That guy needs to be gone. What a
Who fall
fucking piece of
victim
shit.
to senseless gun violence. What got Kimmel in trouble was a passing reference on Monday night. Now, at the time, there were still rumours flying around regarding the killer's motivations, including that he was on the far right, something that Kimmel alluded to like this.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them, and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Yeah,
That's exactly what he did. Scoring political points. That's 100%
Weirdly,
what they did.
I was actually a guest on his show that night. And I didn't even register that comment, and that's only partly because I wasn't really paying attention. And I'm not alone in that. After Kimmel's suspension, many struggle to pick the offensive line out of his monologue, as YouTube is filled with comments under the video like, "I'm still waiting for the offensive part." "What did he say that got him fired? I'm rewatching the last week of episodes and haven't heard it yet." And one viewer from the Netherlands saying, It is even in the Dutch news. With a link to this, I watch this almost every day for a year now to stay covered for American news with a humoristic flow. The point is, Kimmel didn't denigrate Charlie Kirk.
That was my comment.
Light of his killing. The worst thing you could say is that he appears to have been wrong about the shooter's ideology, which, okay, but he was also pointing out that many on the right seem desperate to weaponise Kirk's death, an argument that's aged pretty well, given, you know, everything that's happened to Kimmel since. It was that one line set off a firestorm in some corners of conservative media. And on Wednesday, Brendan Carr, the chair of the FCC, and James Cromwell, minus the raw sex appeal, went on a right-wing podcast and said this.
You know, when you look at the conduct that has taken place by Jimmy Kimmel, it appears to be some of the sickest conduct.
The guy tweeted he's fucking switches me about the guy dying. Condolences to the family. That comment, come on. Come on.
Possible.
Who's the snowflakes now?
Frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, you know, there's going to be additional work for the FCC ahead. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt, we are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster are running the possibility of fines or license revocation from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion.
Yeah, we could do this
Pattern
the
of
easy
news
way
distortion.
or the hard way. As threats go, that is pretty clear. It's like if someone threw a brick through your window with a message that said, shut up or else, then followed it up with more clarifying bricks saying, by or else we mean we will hurt you
The guy on the
physically.
left was provenly once paid by Russia to do pro-Russian content. I don't know anything about that, though. I have no idea.
Then this is the mafia, by the way, followed by, you know, like in Goodfellas. Now, in the wake of those remarks, Nexstar, one of the largest owners of TV stations in the country, announced it'd be pulling Kimmel from its stations. That, in turn, seems to have triggered his suspension by ABC. And a key thing to know about Nexstar is that they have a big incentive to keep both Carr and the Trump administration happy right now, because Nexstar currently controls or provides services to 201 local TV stations. But they're trying to buy Tegna, a major competitor.
And you need approval of the Senate or some shit. You need approval of the government if you want to do mergers.
And regulatory changes from the FCC for that deal to go through, as it would mean their reach would grow to 80% of US households,
Wow.
which is more than double the FCC's current 39% cap, all of which is a little bit strange because neither company really sounds like they should be providing television at all. Nexstar sounds like a bankrupt flip phone manufacturer. And Tegna sounds like, I'm sorry to say, an absolutely gorgeous Italian restaurant. The point is, Nexstar badly needs FCC approval, so it is hardly surprising that when Carr specifically said companies should pull Kimmel off the air or face consequences, it quickly complied. Basically, Brendan Carr said jump, and Nexstar took his dick out of their mouth for just long enough to say, how high exactly?
I want to remark again that I have this opinion that part of the revolution is the educated students, university, educated people, but also I think we live in a world where comedians are part of a revolution. Comedians are outspoken against governments. They expose stuff in their shows all the time. I honestly believe comedians, cabaretists are a big part of a counter movement.
Now I should say,
so shutting down comedians
Nexstar
should be a big goal
insisted it
for
acted
Trump people.
unilaterally, and that they had no communication with the FCC or any government agency prior to making their decision. But I will remind you, they didn't need to communicate directly. Carr essentially told them what he wanted to happen on a podcast, then they unilaterally decided to do it. And it wasn't just Nexstar, because following that, Sinclair Broadcasting, another major owner of TV stations, who are also
Are you okay if comedians disagree? Fuck you, Ken Doodle. Every time I make a point to you today, I see you in chat. I make a point, I'd say something. What you then do is, your coping mechanism is, you look for someone in chat, and then you write an answer to them. Every time I destroy you, you fully leave me alone, you don't engage with me anymore, and then you argue with someone else.
Exploring merger options.
And obviously, I'm okay with comedians that disagree with me. Yeah, that's what free speech is. But your president is not very happy with this stuff.
Would require FCC approval, announced that they too would not air Kimmel's show. And Sinclair even cited Carr's remarks in their statement, saying, "We appreciate FCC Chairman Carr's remarks today." And come on, Sinclair. As I believe Alandria once said to Huda on Love Island, don't embarrass yourself going too hard for a man. And that's just solid advice for the islands of love and for business. And it is not like Carr himself was trying to dissuade people from connecting the dots here, as when one media reporter asked him for a comment, he sent back a smiley emoji. And when CNN did the same, this is what they got.
I don't know if you saw the reaction, the response that Brendan Carr, the chairman of the FCC, gave to Brian Stelter when Brian Stelter asked him for a reaction or response to ABC's pulling Kimmel off the air. We're putting it on the screen.
I asked the chair, Brendan Carr, if he had any comments on the Jimmy Kimmel pull, and he sent me this gif.
It's a meme. It's from The Office, and that
adult.
was the actual.
I mean, it seems, Kendall, we have great conservative comedians in the house. That is very funny.
The chairman of the FCC.
Oh, very cool. Just when I thought this factory-setting white man couldn't get any hotter, he whips out The Office gifs. And look, I like The Office. Who doesn't like The Office? Sure, I could have done it.
Greatest comedy show ever made. There's no question. That is, next to Scrubs, the greatest comedy show ever made.
About seasons 8 and 9. But if it's on at a hotel, I'm not kicking it out of bed. That said, I want you to run through your
No way,
friend
you're
list.
fucking retard. You want to get banned, you fucking piece of shit? Shut up. IT crowd, you're fucking normie NPC, bro. That's what you are,
In
buddy.
your head right now and pick out the person most likely to text you a gift from The Office. Do you have them in your mind? They're your least favourite friend, right?
What's the comments? I said comedy show! Bam, Junge, in dein Gesicht. You're banned for 10 minutes because I knocked you out. For being a retard. Boom, 10 minutes.
Just be honest. They're the one you invite to stuff just because you're afraid no one else will show up. They're a third-string friend. They're your backup's backup. And if you're thinking there's nothing wrong with sending office gifts, I'm afraid that person might be you. And look, it didn't stop there. When someone posted, "This is all in Project 2025," Carl replied with this meme of Jack Nicholson grinning and nodding.
That is fucked up.
Fun fact,
Is that not concernable? Can we get away from opinions and ratings? And what about English comedians? That is concerning. Holy shit. Can we just come to that human level? That's concerning. Bruh!
It's true.
That's fucked up. I need to move to New Zealand. I gotta get the fuck out.
The person he was replying to, Artie from Glee. And what a fun detail for historians. I can picture future textbooks now. After the FCC chair took a shit on the First Amendment, he trolled a former Glee cast member on X, a social media platform owned by the richest man in the world and father to most of you reading this. And at this point, I should probably formally apologise to Ajit Pai, FCC chairman during Trump's first term, who I repeatedly made fun of for being the dorkiest man ever to hold that job. I simply did not know how much worse things could get. So I am sorry I made fun of your big dumb mug.
Unironically watching John Oliver, holy cringe. As we always do, there's always a retard like you. Yes, this show, it doesn't have the bad jokes, but what this show is doing, it's giving a good assessment and a good research on what's going on, something you will never be capable of doing, Big Booty Master 69.
Sorry that we even made this even bigger mug as a joke. From now on, I promise we'll only use it in the appropriate way to hold the amount of alcohol I now need to get through each news day. And while Carr clearly had fun winking at his involvement and firing off gifts, once Kimmel was suspended, he went on TV to suggest this was actually a spontaneous grassroots movement.
This action today by Nexstar and Sinclair, frankly, it's unprecedented. I can't imagine another time when we've had local broadcasters tell what we call a national programmer like Disney that your content no longer meets the needs and the values of our community. So this is an important turning point.
OK, everything he just said there is wrong. First, there's actually a long history of local broadcasters refusing to carry national programmes, and it's not an especially pretty one. From a station in the South refusing to carry Sesame Street because it had a multiracial cast, to one that refused to show Ellen's sitcom when she came out as gay. Those decisions don't tend to date well, but more than that, Claiming this is simply local broadcasters responding to their community values is pretty hard to take, given that this wasn't
Once again,
a bunch
fake
of
news.
independent stations taking a stand. It was two of the biggest local TV ownership groups in the country making sweeping decisions for all the affiliates they own. Calling these companies local broadcasters is like describing Coca-Cola as a neighbourhood soda shop or Boeing as a mom
And
and
it's
pop
scary
plane
that a
crash
lot of
business.
these moneymakers like Mr. Carr are probably genuinely afraid of Trump, afraid of repercussions, afraid of getting into his cross side.
It makes no
Scary shit.
sense. Look, the sequence of events here could not be clearer because
And you slowly get to this utopia for the rich that Peter Thiel always wanted.
it was all done in plain view. Carr leaned on broadcasters to take down Kimmel. They did that, sometimes even directly citing Carr while doing so, and then Carr celebrated with a fun gif. That sure seems like a pretty clear case of the government pressuring companies to censor speech, and it is not...
Disney lost billions, millions, I don't know. But yeah, me and Lisa, here we go. TommyKay Lip Tot, we canceled Disney Plus. We canceled Disney Plus. She told me to do that this morning. Lip Tot family, bro. Lip Tots. Lip Tots. Dude, I'm checking my Discord, man. A guy is trying to catfish me with a woman account. Dude, my fucking Discord is the most degenerate plate ever.
Like even Trump is trying to hide it, as on Thursday he said this to reporters.
Late night host is on network television. There is a licensing. I'll give you an example. I read someplace that the networks were 97% against me. I get 97% negative. And if they're 97% against, they give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away. It will be up to Brendan Carr.
Wow. That is probably not something you should say out loud. But then this is a man who doesn't seem to have an internal monologue.
Fuck freedom of press. Fuck freedom of speech.
In fact, he ended that
Children
press
have a
gaggle on the
license if they're
plane
against
saying,
me.
fly safely. You know why
Just
I
emotions,
say that?
guys.
Because
Just
I'm on
remembering.
the flight. Otherwise, I wouldn't care. No message has ever entered his head without being delivered through his lips. And look, I'm not the only one who sees a huge problem here. Anna Gomez, now the lone Democrat-appointed member of the FCC, said what the administration is doing violates the First Amendment. And even Ted fucking Cruz, to use his...
It's like, I want to always understand stuff. A lot of America content. I think there will be a night stream where we talk about NATO and how Russia is going into our airspace. First Amendment. Protects self-fundamental rights from government interference, including freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, blah, 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 blah. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, it's like the freedom of speech thingy.
His full name. Talked on his podcast.
Disney pulling their own show fascism once again. Can't noodle. Wrong, wrong, wrong. You have zero debate culture in your head. The current reaction the stream did was to the shown Trump comments of literally kinda... He literally just said that if someone is against me, their license should be pulled. Which is a concerning comment. Nothing to do with what you're just saying right now.
About concerns regarding...
You must have a big threshold of pain, because we just destroy you so much all the time.
What Carr had done, while also having some fun with voices.
And I gotta say, he threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. Yeah. And I gotta say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it.
Let's all agree, Ted Cruz is an incredible vocal talent. And he should definitely quit his job right now and go do that instead. But he was actually on his way to making a much bigger point.
I hate what Jimmy Kimmel said. I am thrilled that he was fired. But let me tell you, if the government gets in the business of saying,
what you
we
can and can't
like
say.
What you, the media, have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like. That will end up bad for conservatives.
He's right. He's just right. And I'll say this, I still don't like that man, Ted Cruz. But in this unique clip of news...
Even Ted Cruz saying it's not just Disney pulling, man. Can't noodle, it's crazy,
on this
man.
one
It's
thing,
crazy.
I must admit...
Ted Cruz might lose his license next.
Completely full of shit. The point is, a lot of people seem to think Brendan Carr went too far, and it is worth talking about exactly how he's been taking action and what the legalities of it are. Because, as he alluded to on that podcast interview, the FCC does have a very narrow ability to police content on broadcast television in cases of what's called news distortion. Now, it's hardly ever used that power, as the bar to do so is incredibly high, carving out things like mere inaccuracy and errors stemming from mistakes, which seem to more than cover what Kimmel said. And honestly, I don't think Carr wants what Kimmel said to be the standard here, and I'm not sure that Sinclair does either. Because we've talked on this show before about Sinclair and its long-standing tendency to push right-wing talking points, and it's not like they've been consistently careful in their delivery of news. One of their regular commentators is Armstrong Williams, who also actually owns a handful of stations operated by Sinclair, and he can be pretty conspiratorial. Among other things, he suggested on air that
Thank you, King Banana.
Explains drone sightings last December might have been evidence of a plot by the deep state against Donald Trump and may have been an attempt to cancel the inauguration. He's also spread wild allegations that Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil knew ahead of time about the events of October 7th and may even have been, quote, at the dead centre of planning it. And if Brendan Carr's standard, which Sinclair has cheered on, remember, is that someone cannot go on broadcast TV in the wake of a high-profile murder and inaccurately characterise who might have been responsible for it, then I have some terrible news for them. Because in the wake of Luigi Mangioni's arrest for shooting United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, Williams was on broadcast TV with this analysis of the footage of the shooting.
It is obvious that when Mangione was on the phone for 10 minutes, someone was giving him the location, Brian, so obviously somebody else was involved, and law enforcement is not telling us everything. So obviously someone was giving him very detailed, insightful information on his whereabouts. I'm sure that will be revealed in time, but obviously you could almost surmise that it was an inside job to a certain extent.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So that guy's not cancelled, but it's just Disney pulling.
Wow.
Man. It's just Disney pulling.
That aired
Nothing
on nearly
political about
2
it.
dozen Sinclair stations, and I've been
Obviously.
told repeatedly this week that speculating on broadcast television about the motivations for someone's murder without having all the facts is grounds to have your licence revoked. And I'll say this for Kimmel, at least he didn't say the word obviously 4 fucking times while doing it. And look, most experts will tell you, if Carr goes after stations that air Kimmel for news distortion, he's extremely unlikely to succeed on the merits. But even the threat of an investigation or a delay in reviewing a merger can be enough to get companies to comply. As one former FCC chair has said, Carr's been very artful in not making formal decisions that are appealable to the courts, but instead having these informal, coercive activities that are not appealable. And the thing is, Kimmel is by no means the first casualty in Trump's attacks on free speech. He's just the latest canary in the coal mine, a mine that at this point now seems more dead canary than coal. In fact, if I may quote my Sesame Street SVU crossover that no one will take seriously, we are knee-deep in dead birds right now. But this Kimmel situation does feel like a turning point, and not because comedians are important, but because we are not. If the government can force a network to pull a late-night show off the air and do so in plain view, it can do a fuck of a lot worse. And I should say, we are very lucky at this show to be in a different situation. We're not on broadcast TV, we're on cable. And our parent company, Warner Brothers Discovery, doesn't own broadcast networks, meaning that we are much less susceptible to pressure from the FCC than, say, ABC's parent company, Disney, or CBS's parent company, Paramount.
So the FCC is a government institution. FCC America. It's like like how to say, a commission for federal communications, and the chairman was acting like a child and was massively calling and hoping and working for the cancellation of Kimmel. So it is just Disney pulling the plug. It's just that.
Skydance. That is obviously very good news for us, and I really don't see why that situation should change anytime soon.
Carr has been appointed by Trump? Fuck off. That's not true. That's not true. Is the chairman of the FCC, Mr. Carr, appointed by Trump? No, there's no way. Yes, yes, of course, of course, of course. One sec. I'm using the worst website ever. Terrible, guys. Terrible. Connection lost? What? What? Whoa, dude, fascism right here. Motherfucking fascism. Is Carr FCC appointed by Trump? That would be so scary. That would be so scary. President-elect Trump named Carr as his chair of the FCC. He took office following Trump's second inauguration. As chair, Carr has voiced support for punishing broadcasters over alleged anti-conservative biases. So the government, Trump is fucking involved. The F-35 is in the air, Tommy. Get down.
Merger,
Drain the swamp, guys! Drain the swamp! The facts are here every day! The facts are there, bro! What the fuck?
Familiar with the
How
matter.
can anyone still deny this stuff?
Skydance is preparing a bid to buy Warner Brothers Discovery.
Fuck shit!
Oh shit.
Fucking shit!
Oh,
fucking shit!
GG.
Fuck it! Okay, look. It was
Just fear-mongering, guys.
It was fun while it lasted, guys. Whatever happens next, let me say now, it has been the honour of my life to age like a haunted painting before your very eyes. But look, whatever happens to us or to our parent company, it should be clear to everyone that the First Amendment is absolutely critical in this country. That is something even...
How does that work on a lore level? This is obviously a very deep question that I think will blow my mind and chat's mind, but how would that work in front of a court? You go to a Supreme Court, by the way, which is mostly conservative, and you sue for the First Amendment. But what will that look like? How will that work? That's too high for my brain right
Brendan
now. That's too
Carr knows,
high.
given that he once tweeted, free speech is the count...
In what way, shape, or form can the First Amendment, in this case, be sued in? If you know what that means.
Wait. It is the check on government control.
But then you go to a Supreme Court, which Trump made majority conservative. It's some fucking insanity.
That is why censorship is the authoritarian's dream. And I'm guessing that Trump is currently enjoying that dream so much he could break his bed sheets in half. As many have pointed out, there are chilling precedents all over the world for what is happening right now. In Hungary, for instance, Viktor Orban steadily taken over the media since coming back to power in 2010. One of the first things his party did was adopt new media legislation as a corrective for leftist bias. This required media to be balanced, but the provisions were deliberately vague and equivocal, and violating them could attract steep fines. And if that is starting to sound familiar to you, it should. It's frankly no wonder Trump's a fan of Orban, describing him as a great man, a great leader, a very strong man, whom some people don't like because he's too strong. And I have never been more sure that someone told Trump that Orban is a strong man, and he just couldn't get his head around how that could possibly be a bad thing. And in Russia, when Putin rose to power, TV satirists were among his first targets.
I told you that. I told you that. I'm telling you, when a tyrannical regime takes over, it's satire comedians that are also big talk. Because I think nowadays they're a big part of Aufklärung, enlightenment. They do a lot of enlightenment. Yet it's a shitty joke and laughing. But whenever you think about the guy, they do a good job of enlightenment, shedding a light on stuff.
One of the first things,
and they are some of the first people getting attacked.
Did was to take control of television, because more than 90% of Russians got all their news from television.
During the Yeltsin years, independent television channels like NTV flourished.
NTV has a comic show called Kukly, Puppets. And when Putin comes to rise in public life, it features a Putin puppet as well. And he's never portrayed very flatteringly.
The fuck?
Putin
When
apparently...
Putin took over, all satire political shows, or 99% of them were closed within 4 years.
It was driven to madness.
And now 2 satirical shows are closed in the US.
By this show, and by the way he was portrayed on it, the way he was mocked on it.
And that is so pathetic. I don't know how anything a puppet show could possibly do could end up being more embarrassing for a world leader than them freaking out about it so much that years later a journalist solemnly says the man was driven to madness by puppets. But Putin did hate that show and that independent network to the point that he eventually sent armed operatives to raid their parent company's offices and forced it to sell the TV station to a Kremlin-friendly oligarch. And today, some Russians look back at that as one of the key moments when they should have stood up, like this journalist who...
Wow, that's a big statement, man. That's so deep. When they go after satirical content, yeah. Maybe when you should stood up.
The country.
My German friends, man, we gotta wonder if in 5 years when the AfD takes over, Böhmermann, Heute Show, when they get fucking attacked.
There's alarm.
I'm predicting that's gonna happen in 5 to 10 years. Die Anstalt, my German friends, let's pay attention for the next 5 to 10 years.
that we should have noticed was in 2001 when NTV, the independent channel, was taken over.
Staff arriving for work were told their offices and studios were off limits.
That's when you know it's fucking over, man.
Loyalty to NTV's new managers.
I remember how frustrated and angry we were, and we even went to the protest rally. But then it was cold, and we had so many other independent TV channels, so we just went home and forgot about that.
Yeah, that's tough to hear in hindsight, isn't it? But the lesson there is, it is not safe to let attacks on one show slide because there are currently others. And I know I've literally said these exact same words about the cancellation of Dr. Odyssey, but I promise this situation is genuinely worse.
And I want to do a little comment about Germany. I just watched a documentary with Fabian Köster, to all my German friends. There already is rhetoric against all these satirical stuff. Even the CDU, the leading party of Germany, is not allowing journalists of satire programs like Heute Show, one of the, if not the biggest comedy show in all of Germany, the Daily Show in Germany, not allowed to go into their buildings anymore, not allowed to go in any to the Parteitag meetings and stuff like that. They're still good in Germany. It's still like okay.
It is important to remember that as of taping,
but like small
Kimmel
little
is
steps
just suspended, not actually cancelled.
Happening.
So ABC and its parent company Disney still have a chance to do the right thing here. And I do get that the easier path for them right now is to keep him off the air and to keep the administration...
The TommyKay News gets insane views. It's only 6 p.m. If I would not take a break now, this could easily get good views. You guys like TommyKay News, and I like that. I'm interested. I'm kind of scared that in 3 years I'm going to get killed for this shit. The AFD is going to get me.
Off their back, though I will point out
probably
that
to get
was
to New
the apparent
Zealand in
argument
time.
for ABC paying Trump $15 million last year, and how did that work out for them? And the thing is...
Köster and the others are mad annoying. I honestly believe in my soul, and I could debate you all day on it, Fabian Köster is one of the greatest assets of German democracy right now in this world. What he does in his work, his talk in the elevator with Söder, Fabian Köster, to me, a shining beacon of democracy in Germany now. A fucking legend that needs to be held up high.
If the Trump administration overplays its
nothing but respect for the guy.
Winds up in court, Disney would probably win. Especially because, while Carr's usually pretty cautious, the mistake he's made in this case is doing everything out in the open. And there's strong precedent here. Just last year, in a 9-0 ruling, the Supreme Court found that a government official cannot coerce a private party to punish or suppress disfavor.
You have to prove that, though. You have to prove, though, that the government official, Trump, did coerce Mr. Carr. That's not going to be not so easy to prove. But he did that tweet, right? Kimmel is next. Am I wrong here? Let me fact check myself. On Truth Social. No, that's not the one. Can someone help me to fact check myself? The one where he's like, Kimmel is next. The word is, and it's a strong word at that, Jimmy Kimmel is next to go in the untalented late night sweepstakes, and shortly thereafter, Fallon will be gone. Who talks like this? There are people with absolutely no talent who were paid millions of dollars for it, in all cases destroying what used to be great television.
Speech. That is from this Supreme Court, remember? All of them. Yes, even that one. So, what needs to happen? Well, I would argue that ideally Congress should pass legislation...
Carr will be the government official in that way?
...limiting FCC chairs' ability to sit on things like license transfers or mergers so that can't be used as a means of controlling content. Until that happens, Carr will still have tools with which he can pressure companies. But as for Disney, I'd argue they need to stand by Kimmel and his staff. And there are ways that you can encourage them to do that. You could exert pressure on them by cancelling Disney Plus or Hulu.
Yeah, call me lip-tot, but we did that this morning. I know it's nothing. I know it's blah, blah, but I don't give a shit, man. I will sit here.
Google searches on how to do that have skyrocketed in the past few days. And you can be specific about it because it turns out there's actually a box when you cancel where you can tell them exactly why you are doing it. So you can easily write, say, cowardice in the face of pressure, or refusing to protect freedom of speech, or Donald Duck's corkscrew penis. Also,
unfortunately, they have the bear.
Kimmel thing. I mean, a little bit the Kimmel thing, but mostly Disney's silence regarding Donald Duck's anatomically accurate corkscrew penis, which I will remind you looks like this.
I did not have that comment option.
We made that for a show years ago on, and this is true, China's one-child policy. And I don't think that we are not going to bring it back at every possible opportunity. But it really shouldn't take the threat of lost revenue
already
to
lost
bring
$5
Disney
billion?
to its senses here. And given, at least as of today, that I still happen to have this desk, I would like to take this opportunity to talk directly to Disney CEO Bob Iger. Hi there, Bob. We haven't met, but you probably know me as America's third favourite Zazu. Congratulations on recasting that role, by the way. It was a fun thing to learn about after the fact. Anyway, one day, the history of the time we're living through is going to be written. And when it is, I'm not sure it's those in this administration who are even going to come off the worst. Now, don't get me wrong, they're going to come off terribly. But
I think about that often, how history books will write about this time.
History is also going to remember the cowards.
Kimmel and Fellner, unfunny cocks, let them burn. Very beautiful comment from you, man. That is just very educated. They still have among the best ratings next with Stephen Colbert. They entertain millions of people. YouTube views are insanely big. It's kind of like your opinion, but acting like they should burn is kind of fucking crazy, man. That's kind of fucked up, my dude. And I don't know. I think if you talk like this, you maybe should grow a little bit first before you engage with political streams. It doesn't seem very healthy. I mean, I know, I mean, we can all see you're a great virtuoso of great entertainment. We can see here that you fully love the best entertainment in the world here. I mean, there we have a very good one. Yeah, we can see that you know a lot about great entertainment. And yeah, buddy, it's time to become an adult in this crazy world, man.
Who definitely knew better, but still let things happen, whether it was for money, convenience, or just comfort. And I know this is something of a tough sell, and it can be a bit of anathema to risk-averse business leaders. But I will say this, if we've learned nothing else from this administration's second term so far, and I don't think we have, is that giving the bully your lunch money doesn't make him go away. It just makes him come back hungrier each time. They are never going to stop. They've literally said that openly. After Kimmel's suspension, Trump posted, "That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers," on fake news NBC.
The president of America, great news for America. The ratings challenged Jimmy Kimmel's show, challenged? Is cancelled. Congratulations to ABC for finally having the courage to do what had to be done. Kimmel has zero talent. I mean, and worse ratings than Colbert, if that's even possible. Colbert has the best ratings in the world right now. That leaves Jimmy and Seth, two total losers on fake news NBC. Wow, that is... It's just fear-mongering.
Their ratings
just
are
emotions.
also horrible. Do
Nothing
it,
to be
NBC.
concerned about.
And Kara's hinted that The View might be next. The fucking View! Look, at some point, you're going to have to draw a line. So I'd argue, why not draw it right here? And when they come to you with stupid, ridiculous demands, picking fights that you know you could win in court, instead of rolling over, why not stand up and use 4 keywords they don't tend to teach you in
10 years ago, a tweet like this would be an outrage, but he normalized it. It's the Steve Bannon agenda. They normalized this kind of speech. You read it and it's just okay now.
Business school. Not, okay, you're the boss. Not whatever you say goes, but instead, the only
President of
phrase
free speech.
that can genuinely make a weak bully go away, and that is, fuck you, make me. And now, this.
She slipped through my fingers like sand. Further she got a man. Now I'm just sitting here sad. Oh well, ship sail. She slipped through my fingers like sand.